Did we give you permission to open that book? What are you doing reading a book on the sidelines of a football game? Yeah, these are just some of the little ignorant comments that was made about A.J. Brown, wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. Yes, y'all, reading a book. Yes, indeed. You all stay tuned for my breakdown on about this particular topic. All right, see you in a minute. Who gave you permission to have that book open? Did we tell you that you were allowed to read while playing football? You're on the sidelines. Your team is struggling, and you got the nerve to have the book open. Y'all, these are just some of the ignorant comments that was made about A.J. Brown, who is a wide receiver for the Philadelphia Eagles. He had the audacity to decide to have his book open on the sidelines instead of studying the plays and staring at the game. Okay? These are just some of the things that was said about him when the camera caught him reading. I mean, literally, you have folks, you're talking about, what is it? NFL on NBC, NFL on ESPN, Fox Sports, doing this commentary about him reading. They literally are saying things like, I think he's trying to troll us. I think he's trying to snub us. He's trying to get make a statement. But guess what, though? When his coach was asked about him reading, the coach had this to say. He said, he's been reading this book on the sidelines for a long time. It just so happens the camera caught him reading this week. So his coach had said that this is something that he's already been doing. However, when the cameras caught him, it was like, wait a minute. Well, what is this guy doing? Why are you sitting up here reading a book? One of the guys even had the nerve to say that he should have had a book on a tablet, and then he could have been like reading it on there, and then, it could have been looking like maybe he was studying plays or whatever the case may be, but nobody would have like noticed or whatever the case. Nobody would have thought anything of it. But since he had a physical copy of a book open, that was an issue. And I got to give a shout out to my brother, Ismail. He is a phenomenal brother. And I was actually a guest on his podcast before, and he would talk to different entrepreneurs. And he had sent me the video. Now, when he sent me the video, his intent really wasn't to just send me this video so that talking about it from a negative standpoint in terms of how they were looking at it. He was looking at it from a standpoint of, a possibility of, maybe me being able to connect with somebody like him because of the work that I do in the literacy space. All right. For those of you who do not know, I'm the founder and executive director of ABC Read, which is a nonprofit organization that I started over 10 years ago. And so our mission is to develop and nurture a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. And so us seeing our brothers reading books, and especially you're an athlete and you are a renowned athlete, you are somebody who is obviously, always in the news and everything like that, for you're doing a great job for your team, and you're actually being shown reading a book. I'm like, wow, man, this is dope. And so I'm looking at the interview though, and it's like, here it is. You got the one guy, and he's like, me and 20 other guys like me are wondering, what's going on? Why are you sitting up here reading this book? And I think in that particular game, actually, it was said that he had the lowest total catches of the year. All right. So in their minds, they're looking at it like this book is getting in the way of you actually performing on the field. Because see, Black folks, we're not supposed to be able to read and study. And especially during a game, a football game at that. Because when they have our burly, big, brawny brothers out there, they want to see them pumped and hyped up. They want to see them with that high level of masculinity, just raw dog and just, if they see them at peace with a book open, being calm and tapping in and not being rah-rah, that sends up signals. You're like, wait a minute, hold on. Oh my gosh, wait a minute. This is crazy. I'm confused. I don't understand. He should be studying plays. He should have his eyes glued to the field right now, or glued to the plays or whatever, where they review their plays and different things like that. Him reading a book, that posed a problem in the system of the false notion of white supremacy all day. Just like in their mind, see their optics again, they want to see our brothers continuously doing whatever they need to do to make that money, especially when it comes to that sports, because we are in a system where they worship sports, and football is definitely the sport that they worship. They are dead set on making sure that they got our brothers out there on the field, on that plantation, running them plays, catching them balls, making them touchdowns, tackling, doing all of those things, because that's the epitome of manhood and masculinity. So when they saw him, they're like, oh, no, he has to be, it has to be a trolling thing, right? He's trying to, and then one of the guys said that he opened it up to a random page. And my thing is, even if he did, so what? And just to give you a little background on this particular book that he was reading, the name of the book was entitled, I believe, Inner Excellence by Jim Murphy. I'm looking it up right now. So I think it's Inner Excellence. It's called Inner Excellence, Train Your Mind for Extraordinary Performance and the Best Possible Life by Jim Murphy. Here it is. This football player, elite football player, he decides in his time when he's not on the field, he says, I'm going to open up this book because, again, I'm training my mind for extraordinary performance in the best possible life. Because he understood, and this is something that he even said in his interviews. He said that, in a nutshell, that when you're playing a game, I don't care what sport it is and whatever it is that you do, but in particular, especially you're talking about something like football, where it's high physical contact. He's like, I have to have more than just my physical ability on point. My mental game has to be top tier. It has to be top notch. He said, and that's why I'll be reading this book. This is why his coach said, oh yeah, this is a book that he's always reading. It just so happens you guys caught him this week. Like, wow. These are the kind of things this is why I like talking about this kind of stuff, because it just brings home again the point that I make, why I'm always tying in when it comes to literacy and how we have these high levels of illiteracy in our community. All of this stuff is linked to this false notion of white supremacy, racism, the inception of this nation, this country. You see, our folks, they did not intend for us to use our brains, to be able to read, to be able to think, to be able to process, to be able to have that high level of thought process when we're doing things. For them, in their minds, it's whatever we tell you to do. So when we tell you to run inward, run, you do that. We tell you to catch that ball inward, you catch it. We tell you to tackle, you tackle. We'll do all the thinking. That's why I even, because I'm not a football person, but I do know one thing that I've heard about in terms of with the quarterback position. That position, they call that's like, I guess, the thinking man's position, right? And so, and I've, heard about folks talk about this is why a lot of times you'll find white players who typically are quarterbacks. Again, it's this notion of, well, leave the thinking to us. We want you to run when we tell you to run, catch the ball, tackle, block. We want you to do those things, and we'll tell you how to do those things. When it comes to the thinking part, that's us. When it comes to the physical part, that's you. That's what you got the big muscles for, right? That's why you're all brawny and burly and big. Boy, you got that God-given talent there. Trying to, that's their way of trying to make brothers feel like, oh, yeah. See, everybody has their strengths, right? See, your strength is the physicality. Our strengths are mental. So if you see a brother reading a book, that's like, wait a minute, because remember now, you got a lot of these young brothers out here who say they want to be NFL players. When I go into these schools and I'm subbing, majority of these Black boys, and I'm talking about from third grade all the way up into high school, when I ask, well, what would you like to be when you grow up? Even though I usually don't like to say when you grow up, because I'm always, now I make it a habit of letting them know that whatever it is that you want to do, you can do it now. But just for the sake of the conversation right now, say, what do you want to do when you grow up? Well, I want to be an NFL player. If I was to ask, literally, there's probably like about 10 Black boys in the class, at least about a good 6 of them are going to say they want to be in the NFL. But then when you look at the statistics, and it says, what are the statistics of someone who wants to be in an NFL, of them making it? About 1, maybe 2, okay, percent. 1 or 2%. So that means out of 10 boys who would say, yes, I want to be in an NFL, maybe 1, maybe 2 will make it. So the odds of them getting in the NFL is extremely slim. So you got all of these young brothers out here, they're vying for a position where only maybe 1, maybe 2 of them are going to make. And then you talk about, again, when I'm talking about the literacy level, especially here in Cleveland, talking about 4th graders, around 10% being proficient when it comes to reading. And then if they're not reading like they should be in the younger grades, it gets way harder for them to catch up when they get in the older grades. They become more and more disinterested and disengaged. Okay? This is what we're dealing with. So when I see a brother like AJ Brown with his book open, I'm looking at that on all different levels, all different angles. I'm like, oh my gosh, man, look at the optics of that. You see these young brothers who are watching this game, and then they get a glimpse of you with a book open. Like that right there, that's what they need to see. They need to see more of that, because I'm going to tell you right now, one of the things that I see, unfortunately, in the Black community, and this is something where I'm checking my people, because I can do that, because this is my community. I don't like to see my Black parents who are trying to push their sons into sports and pushing that so heavy, making sure they're at practice, making sure they're at the football clinics, all of that. But then when it comes to their reading, they're suffering, they're lagging behind. And then you call somebody like me to come and help your baby with their reading, call me as a tutor on to help. And then when I'm asking them to make sure that they handle their homework or make sure that they're doing the assignments that I'm giving, they're not doing that. But yet and still, when it comes to those football practices, they go to school from 8 to 3, And then they at practice, rain, sleet, or snow. That's a problem. Because remember, just like Dr. Jawanza Kunjufu talked about, whatever it is that you do most is what you do best. So if you are continuously always making sure you're on the football field all the time, or basketball as well, but you're not making sure that you are getting that assistance that you need with your reading, making sure that you're reading, making sure that you're writing, making sure that you are doing some studying every single day, you think that those skills are going to stay, are they going to grow, they're going to get better, or are they going to stay where they are, or in fact, you're going to regress? So this is something, again, a message for my Black parents out there. We have to understand that our babies, when they are literate, highly literate, when they are able to read as much as they can, and they are reading different books, they are being exposed to different things, now their options begin to expand. They don't have a scarcity mindset, a limited mindset, where they are like, oh man, this is my only ticket out the hood. I got to make sure that I can throw that ball. This is all I got. No, it's not all you got. We have to change our mindset to an abundant mindset. Just like that dear brother, A.J. Brown. He said, look, man, this is a mental game. He said, this is mental. I want to make sure my mental is right. He said, I'm tapping in, so I'm going to crack open a book. But I'm quite sure it wouldn't have been no big issue if he was over there, had some headphones on, bobbing his head, like, yeah, you did, yeah, about to go get some weed tonight, go get some drugs tonight. That would have been cool. They probably would have laughed at, oh man, look at AJ. Oh man, he's kind of celebrating a little bit too soon, though. He didn't win yet. So hopefully he got some jams in there that's gonna get him on that field and do what he need to do. That would have been the better story. But the moment this guy has a book cracked open, they were like, huh? Like the record stopped. Like, wait, hold on. What's going on here? What's going on? And I'm just like, I said, wow, this is truly, truly white. That when I start processing everything, I'm like, wait a minute. This is the white thing to say, isn't it? Oh, yes, it is. Because again, like I said, that's why, the book right there, which I need to reread again, the $40 million slave, that book is real. And I'm not, listen, my brothers out there, I'm proud of y'all. You all have made it to this elite level of sports, and you're able to feed your families and your kids, and all of that. Which, by the way, I pray that when you all do make that money, that you all make sure that you invest it and you do the right thing with it. Because once again, that's the value of literacy, right? When you're reading more and then you are getting yourself educated, now that opens the door for you to understand that, okay, I can't trick this money off. Because in that false notion of white supremacy, that's the other thing that they want you to do. They're like, okay, go ahead, you play hard. Now here you go get drunk, go sleep with whoever, do all of those things, marry one of their daughters, one of those white women in their community. Then she makes sure she get with you, have the baby. Next thing you know, 10, 12, 15 years later, divorce, and she got basically most of your money. They understand. They have a plan. Trust. We've seen it over and over again. Wash, rinse, repeat. But when you have a brother like AJ, who's like, hey, look, I want to read this book. I want to tap into my mental. See, you can't have that in their system, because now what it's doing, them little Black boys are seeing that. So now that little Black boy who's struggling with reading, he can remember AJ like, wow, man, I saw him reading, but he plays football, but he was reading. And then if he sees the interview, just like how I made sure I share that interview with one of my students, and I'm gonna make sure that my other students see it as well. And when I'm in these schools and I'm suddenly, did y'all see this? You got somebody like myself who's like, hey, look, this right here, this is what you need to see. This is the example that you need to see. Because we need to get rid of this statistics where you got this high levels of illiteracy in our communities. We got to get rid of this mentality of our brothers talking about, yeah, I want to hurry up and become a football player. But then they're not going to talk about and continue to talk about. They'll talk about it some, because they can't, you can't just hide all the information, especially too when you got folks now speaking about that CTE and all of these players getting concussions. And by the way, I know it's not just football. I'm talking about football in particular because this brother AJ Brown is a football player, but we know that happens too in the boxing arena as well. All right. But again, we want to protect our brothers' brains because, see, they don't care about making that money off of you right now. They don't care about the fact that you may have struggles and have early signs of dementia when you get about my age, you 50 years old or even younger. They don't care about that. Remember that one player who unfortunately took his own life, shot himself in the chest. Why? Because his brain was so messed up because of that CTE. He wanted his brain to be studied. That stuff is real. And this stuff is affecting our young Black brothers. I mean, personally, I can care less about football, but again, that's, of course, I'm being biased about that again, because I'm not into football. And I know this is something that, I mean, you have a lot of women who like football. But I just want you all to consider, once again, like I said, use this story about that brother AJ Brown doing something that was so important for himself first, because that's who he was thinking about, himself. But I don't know if he realized the impact on a positive level that he has made for our young brothers in particular, especially those who are talking about how they want to be in the NFL, and that's like their number one top profession that they want to be in. And for him to decide that he was going to open up that physical copy of a book, and then to talk about how this is something that he was always doing. He wasn't thinking about somebody looking at him or a camera catching him. He's in his own zone, his lane. That right there is a phenomenal example. And I just pray that he continues to do that and not let anybody get him all, try to make him feel self-conscious about it now. Because, of course, again, they making the cracks and all of that. I mean, a book, oh my God, not on the field. I mean, do that on your own time. That is his time. That's his time. And he decided to open up the book and said, I'm going to tap in because I want to be the best version of me. And guess what? He's not only defined by that football field. And that's one of the aspects that I truly, truly appreciate with him in deciding to read that book in particular. And then what happened, it drove the book sales up exponentially. So now that brother Jim Murphy, he's really, really happy about AJ Brown. But you know how we do. You know what I'm saying? It's like folks, they try to act like they're not watching, but they always watching. They always pay us attention. Trust and believe. They're always watching. They're trying to see what moves we making. And that's why, again, with this particular podcast, I just hope y'all understand, get the message, what I'm saying, tap in. We need to tap in, especially now. And we need to tap into our inner greatness. And a big way in which we're going to achieve that is making sure that we are reading as much as we can, reading things that's going to help us take our mental game to the next level, that's going to help us build our communities, that's going to help us thrive on every single level, spiritually, emotionally, financially, physically, all of that, in a health sense, everything. This is what we need to be doing. So, with that being said, I thank you all for listening again to another episode of Real Reading Talk. And remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Peace. All right, everybody. Thank you once again for listening. I hope that you all got a lot of insight, enjoyed the podcast. And I'm just going to go get right into the housekeeping. Again, like I always remind you all, I am a pre-K to fourth grade reading tutor. So if your baby is struggling with things like phonemic awareness, phonics, some reading comprehension, basic writing skills, please make sure that you go to my website, abclearntutoring.com, and click on that free reading assessment today. And I'm the founder and executive director of ABC Read. ABC Read's mission is to develop and nurture a culture of literacy in Black and underserved communities. We are doing that by making sure that we have dope, what we like to call reading experiences. All right, this is for the whole family. And then we have our experiences too, where we focus in the summertime. We like to call the Bye Bye Summer Slide, where we're helping those youth who to make sure that they are keeping their reading levels up to par. All right, these are just some of the things that we do. And of course, we give out books. We making sure we do that. We've given away close to 8,000 books, all right, and counting, okay? And so please go to our website, abcread.org, to check out our work. And make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel, Reading is Freedom. I have over 1,000 subscribers, so I thank you all for subscribing, for sharing, for commenting, for liking. I appreciate all of it. As a plethora of read-alouds, make sure that you are subscribed, okay? And then, last but not least, Reading is Freedom, as you see the mug over my right shoulder, and you see the merch, y'all. Yes, indeed, okay? Because reading is linked to our liberation. Okay, and that's why I started this brand. Go grab your mug, go grab your shirt, get your hoodie, take a look, see what you want, and get something for yourself, your children, for your friends, whoever. All right. And then I want to share with you guys the book that I've been reading, along with my sisters in the book club, ABC Read's second book club, okay? This is the book, y'all. Rest is Resistance. Free Yourself from Grind Culture and Reclaim Your Life by Trisha Hersey. This book right here, it has been absolutely phenomenal. It has been an eye-opener. It has been liberating, because that's what she wants us to do, get back into tapping into resting, taking naps, not being afraid to sleep in the middle of the day. That is where our healing lies. That's where our creativity is enhanced. Our imaginations become more and more open. We become more of abundant thinkers instead of thinking in a scarcity mindset. So I highly recommend that you get that book. And then I'm going to leave you with the quote by A.J. Brown, which is, "I like to read." Yes, to sum it all up. All right, you guys, thank you all for listening to me, Miss Seisha. Real Reading Talk. Real Reading Talk is the podcast in which we discuss the real systemic issues that are at the very core, the very foundation as to why we have these high levels of illiteracy in the Black community and the ways in which we can combat these issues together. I thank you all for listening so much. And remember to please keep reading for at least 30 minutes a day. Reading is freedom. Peace.